Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tech Down Over. This is episode number 37.
Yep.
I think I got it right. Hey,
yep,
that's really good. I'm joined today by Geoff Blanchard. He's that way, right over there, right next to me, just over there. And here's our intro. Hi, everyone. I am so glad all of you and you could make it today. Today, we've got a show dedicated, not necessarily 100%, but we are talking about the Canon C100 or EOS C100 Mark II. Now, Geoff, I talked you out of this camera last year.
Yes, that's exactly right. And I thought, because I'd been looking and lusting over the C100 and... You know, we sort of looked at different things, and plus at the time it was quite a bit expensive, and there was a few things lacking in the camera. Then it all started, I think it was about last Saturday, when I got a tweet from somebody, a direct tweet, won't mention who it was, mainly Rick, that said, I think I like the C100 now. And I said, oh, no, here we go. So I started looking, and we all clicked on one of these the reviews to see the C100 Mark II, and with all the different changes in it, it's one of those things that's really taken our fancy now.
Yeah, and I think my tweet to you was something more like, "I'm standing in a puddle of drool. I really want that camera." Now, the C100 I talked you out of. I think that was a good talk out of. Because was extreme. It was, what was it, about 7,000 in those days? 7,000, 8,000? It was quite a bit.
And well, even then, like, the new one's about that price.
It's about 5,500.
If I bought that one, even if I'd bought that at 5,000 with what the new one has, I would be very, 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 very disappointed.
I know. Now, I know people who have it, and they said it was really a great camera. Regardless of some of the limitations, they really enjoyed it. But it was a lot of money, and it didn't have a lot of the features that the GH4 had in those days. I remember Philip Bloom was doing a review on it. He was like, GH4, but much better than everything else. But now he's gone back, and he goes, you know, C100 Mark II, really nice. And I think he's nice. You know what? We have a little video on the C100, just a quick 2 minutes of it, and then people could, we'll have a link later on the screen that they can click if they want to hear the whole video. So here's about 2 minutes of a C100 video. Here we go.
Hey everybody, Jem Schofield here, and welcome to the Canon C100 Mark II product overview. In this video, I'm going to be taking you through some of the new features and functions of this brand new camera, which was designed from input from you guys and users like myself who have been using the original C100. Really great stuff. I'm going to be talking about things like the new OLED articulating display, the new EVF on the camera, the button layout on the exterior of the camera system, and of course, the new Digic DV4 processor, which I'm going to talk to you about right now. So let's get started. So the first thing we want to do before we get into some of the external features of the camera system is we really want to talk about this new image processor, which is brand new to the Cinema EOS line. And while this camera shares the same amazing Super 35mm sensor that's in the C500, the C300, and the original C100, it is the Digic DV4 that's doing a lot of the heavy lifting and creating our final image with the camera, which is improved over the original C100. So what is this image processor actually doing? Well, we're capturing a 4K image, and then the camera is taking that and it's using a new advanced debayering algorithm. It's taking the RGB channels and breaking it up into 3 separate 8-megapixel 4K signals. And then that's being taken and actually scaled down to create our final 1920 by 1080 full HD image. And the byproduct of all of this engineering that's inside of the camera, we've got less false colors, we have reduced moire, less jaggies in the image, and then we also have less noise, which is allowing the camera now to go to even higher ISOs, we could go to 80,000 on the C100. On the Mark II, we can go to 102,400 ISO. So now that we've gone over that, let's talk about some of the external features that I'm really excited about. And the first thing I want to talk to you about is this new OLED display on the camera.
I know that was a couple of minutes of it. And there's some salient points he made there. Now, what I love is the way Canon puts in like a guy that's 3 feet tall. So it makes the cameras look enormous.
No,
I'm just kidding. I don't know how big the guy is, but you got to admit, they put him on a tripod, so it looks really sexy. And that happens to be the tripod that you're going to talk about today.
Well, that's right.
Because I looked at that and go, what kind of tripod is that? I really like it. It looks cool. And then, of course, I got your notes. I went, wow, he figured out what tripod that was. So
yes. Well, just going off that video, I jotted down a few notes because now all I've been doing all week, doing these notes for the show, I've spent about 6 hours looking at the C100 as you do. What else can I buy for it? And I was a bit like you. I bet if I buy that, then I'll have to buy the camera. So I thought I'd better not do that. But I was looking at some of the features and some of like the new OLED articulated display. The old one just had an LCD display that flicked up, just angled up about a few millimeters and wouldn't flick out or do anything like that.
Yeah, that was it.
And now this one flicks out and you can close it, do it, all sorts of things. And I mean, that's essential for people like us who want to just have, one-man operation so you can flick it out and see where you're going. And, it says it's ideal for putting it on things like the Movi or the Ronin, the camera stabilizer, because you can just put it straight at the back and save yourself the cost of an extra monitor, because you can monitor it through the camera, where you couldn't do that before. It was just in too awkward a position to do that. Yeah,
not to mention they added the electronic viewfinder now that's comfortable. It's like the old XL2 viewfinder they used to have, which is big, it covers, you don't get any light coming in, it's very clear. So they didn't have that in the original either.
And no, and it's it's the same one that's on the C300 and the C500. So and as I said, the other one you could not move. You had to put. It's like putting your eye like you do on these little the DSLRs,
right? Which aren't great.
You have to squash your nose against the display to get your thing in there. Whereas this new one, it's actually usable. So that's where it really got me. And also the new button layout as well, because they've got 17 assignable buttons on it, up from the 15. But now they've got some buttons on the OLED. But which that you can operate the camera from that now, where you couldn't before. So that enables you to operate the camera without the handle grip. So if you've got it in your camera stabilizer, all you need is the body. You don't need the handle grip with the start and stop. You can use the OLED, so it makes it a much better thing for that. So
now have you ever held it?
Vector scopes for
now, have you ever held it in your hands?
I have, yes.
You have.
Yes.
So I haven't yet. So how did it feel? You had the Mark I, right? The original.
Yeah.
How did it feel as far as the weight? It's very light from what I'm hearing.
I loved it. It was just a bit bigger than my, DSLR.
Interesting.
But a bit better. But actually a bit better because the handle grip was much sexier.
Yes.
Was a bit more, held it much better. So probably a bit heavier, but it held quite nicely because of that handle grip. And I think the thing I like with that, you're not stuck with that. You can take it off for different things. You can even put those ones on one of those shoulder mounts. And put the handle grip way down and use it like a traditional camcorder, with on your shoulder and all sorts of things like that.
Now Zacuto has one that looks really nice for it. And you don't have to have the follow focus anymore because it has very good dual pixel technology. Now, the other thing is Zacuto also makes a helmet for it. I forgot what it's called, but it's like the Zacuto helmet. And it has a lot of different attachment points on that plate. So instead of having what they call the hand grip that you can put on, which they said is very cheap, very chintzy, it doesn't feel good. Theirs looks rock solid, and you could really put on a strong handle, plus a whole mess of other accessories. So it's a really sexy looking camera. It looks like something you want to shoot with. It has a lot of nice.
And yeah, and like you said, it's the image quality is excellent, and even on the old one it was. And
Right.
the only thing it took us away from it doesn't have the 4K, but like I'm not sure how it does it, but it doesn't have the 4K, but it does capture in 4K. You were saying on that
it does
video, so it captures in 4Ks and downgrades it to a 1080p, which that's to me. And then I think that you can do the monitor it outside, so I don't know if that is 4K when you record directly.
I think it
out.
is. I think you can, because it'll also upconvert it to 4K.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if you've got the inputs coming in, so you've got your 4 color inputs, so it's breaking all of it into your colors. And then, so you get a 4K image capture. Now, your HDMI has a high resolution out, which if it goes into like an Atomos Shogun or one of the other ones, you couldn't at that point have a ProRes file that is 4K. So in essence, I don't think you're losing anything, because at that point, if it's either up-resing it or it is sending out the 4K signal. But again, it's breaking all the colors as it comes in and then recombining them automatically into the 10K mode, so that now you've got the ability to have literally no loss in your color, just as if you were going into post-production. Now that's sweet, because that saves you a little bit of extra work that you'd have to do, not necessarily color grading, but reconverting to 1080p afterwards. Now a lot of the cameras will send out a 4K capture as a 1080p already down converted, so you don't lose anything there either. And we're not in a 4K world yet in terms of what we can do and everything else. So as a result, I don't think we're losing much. Now it's much more palatable than the C100 original, which didn't do 4K at all.
No, and as I said, most of the thing with the 4K is a lot of the time it's future proofing. Why people are recording it, really. Yep. They're just all recording everything in 4K, just so when and if the technology gets there and everything is 4K, they can re-release it again and have everybody watch it again in higher quality. So
yeah, and now what kind of
quality we've got?
I'm sorry, what kind of add-ons did you find for the C100? There are quite a few and things that you can use with it. What specifically did you find that you liked?
Well, I never even got that far. I'm still lusting over the camera. I thought I didn't start looking too far, or else I'd be buying some of the accessories. Well, do tell a lie. I already like the DJI Ronin, and I want to get if I got that, I'd have to get that camera stabilizer. So
yeah, now this is not
essential.
This is the DJI Ronin, not the flying one, right?
Not the flying one. That's correct. Yeah. So I'll figure everybody's doing the flying one, and I think I'll get more use out of the down to earth one.
Yeah. Now is that the automatic gimbal? Is that the software programmable gimbal, or is that the one that you just hold as a stabilizer?
You hold it's with the handle grips and all that. It is fully electronic and can be controlled from an iPhone app to do the different settings. But it's got a follow focus, so when you're doing it, it will follow the subject. Or you've got a little thumb grip. You can direct where it's pointing to the panning and tilting. And
interesting.
The reason I like it, because I've come to the stage that I don't like filming anything without a tripod now, because no matter how good you are, I can still see movement, and I hate it.
Yeah, do you use a monopod?
Sorry?
Do you use the monopod?
I use a monopod as well, but I still find I'm going forward and back, and it's still an effort to... I've still got to breathe, you see. That's my problem when I'm holding it. I still need to breathe. But that's why I like the DJI Ronin, and they've just come out with one for about $2,000, which will take anything up to £6. Is it £6?
Okay.
So what's the Canon? Well, I think would that be?
I don't think it's that expensive.
Or?
However, once you get lenses on it, you could be up to £6 pretty easily.
Because there's the other DJ. But then again, I thought, well, if I got one of them, I've still got the XA10. I've still got something else to put on it, and I can use my other one on a stable tripod and still have that to do as well. Another thing I liked on the Canon, it did have they put in a microphone into the body as well as the so if you take the handle grip off, which houses the stereo mics, you've still got something to record some, not to use properly, but there's a reference. So if you've got an external source to help dub it up, to match it up, you need that sound on it as well. So.
Yeah. Now,
and you've got the Atomos Ninja as well, haven't you?
I have the Ninja and the Samurai. So we've got both of those. So one is SDI and one is just regular HDMI. I want the Shogun, but $2,000. I'm just not 100% thrilled about spending $2,000 for a recorder. It's nice. No. It's 7 inches, so it's a little bigger. Because the other ones I think are only 4 or 5 inches. So, yeah. But $2,000, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it for what we do. But yeah, it's nice. It's one of those things you want. Can you justify it? I don't know. I'm not sure about that. But it will record in 4K, and it does SDI and HDMI.
But I think like you said, for the quality you're getting off the cameras, I'd be far better off spent that $2,000 on a lens or something, that as an extra to do that help you along with your camera rather than just something that just records. Because even though it might be well worth it, I know you're the same as me. I've got to have something that seems to do a lot for me. The other thing might do a better thing for me, but I've got to see I'm using it.
Yes.
So like if I've got 3 cameras, I'm going to have an interview and I'm going to have the 3 cameras set up. Then that justifies buying them. Whereas if I do an interview and use 3 different cameras, I thought that's a waste. Yeah. But if I use the 3 in the one in different angles, well,
that's right. Then that's worth it.
I'm already thinking now. I'm going to use the XA10 for the far shot. I'm going to use the Canon C100 for the main shot, and I'm going to use the HCX1000 for the close-up hand shots or something like that for an interview.
Now what's curious there is what's curious between Canon and Panasonic, whether you get the same color temperatures and the same color, because I think they all use the Adobe sRGB. So it'll be interesting, but if they use sRGB, then technically they should all have the same color. Technically, but I'm curious to see how that works. I've got to do a test one of these days. Now, I did a quick test because, the C100 has the dual pixel technology. Actually, it seems like that's going into almost all the Canon cameras now. Dual pixel, for those of you who don't know, allows the camera to have 2 pixels to determine focus. And while that doesn't sound like a lot, it's revolutionary because all of a sudden you don't need to do follow focus. It does it for you. It's an automatic follow focus, and it's actually pretty accurate. Now, I did this last night. I was at home, and I just wanted to test using the AI Servo mode. So there's 3 different modes. I think you've got your single shot mode, AI Servo, and then you've got AI Focus mode. AI Focus is a combination of AI Servo and single shot. So it kind of determines, are you in one spot or is it moving around? If you're in AI Servo mode, then you have a choice of going fast, slow, and a couple of other ones. I did this in slow because I didn't want to go too fast. I wanted it to keep kind of moving with me rather than trying to anticipate where I am. Because when you're in AI Servo, it's predictive. It's trying to figure out where you are as you are. So let me run this for you, and you could tell and pay very close attention to the pirouette move. Okay, here we go. So here I am staring at the camera, trying to figure out what I'm doing. I don't think I ever got past 10 feet away from where the camera was. Now, as I get close, I am using a 50 millimeter lens. It's the new 50 millimeter STM lens from Canon. It's about $110, $20. It does a pretty good job of keeping. Now, you notice focus is pretty much being kept on my face.
Yes, it is.
There's a little blur every so often as I'm moving sideways on the sides of my head. All right, let's see.
Well, the thing is, it's keeping focus. It's more so, if anything, is with you moving in, cutting off the light and changing the light. That's probably the only thing. But the focus seems to be really good. Oh, that's a pirouette.
That's a pirouette for you, right? Now, again, I'm really close to the lens. It's really supposed to be about 3 feet away, but it managed to keep it.
That did. Yeah, that was really good.
And there we go. So anyway, that was using AI Servo mode with a slow focus. In other words, it's moving slowly. It's not trying to rush really fast to get focus. I have to do another test later to try all the different focus methods as far as the autofocus goes to see where it loses you. Now, that was using tracking. So once you have tracking on, it tries to find a face and then stick with it. And it's pretty neat. Now, I've seen some videos, and we have to do some experiments with this, where you have two people on the screen. And you touch one, and now they're focused. Then you touch the other one, and it just switches them. It looks really, it's a very cool effect. And now the C100 has, again, the dual pixel technology. It has a larger sensor. It's a true 35 millimeter sensor, or a super 35 millimeter. So it is a cinema-sized sensor. Our EF lenses, for the most part, will work. And there are some cinema lenses you can also get that will work on them as long as they have an EF or EFS mount. So that was with the 70D. And I'd say on the whole, I gave it about a 90% on keeping focus. I wasn't moving super fast, but I was coming in and out of it at different points. So it was. Well,
that's one of the things. That's one of the things I love with the 70D. As I said, I've got the 60D, but the best thing with the 70D is that the video, and just that focus I've found on the video is just, it's excellent. And it's a 1080p, not 4K, but
right. But it's a good 1080p, and it has
excellent.
And it has nice color rendering. Though the 70D does suffer from moire issues, where if you have patterns or if in the back, if there's something busy, you are going to get a little bit of moiraying, and that doesn't look quite as good. I think that's much less, if at all, on the C100. So something in the Digic 4 probably is a little bit better done. It's also a 2-year newer camera. So they've probably enhanced it. I need to check on the 70D if there's any firmware updates. There may be.
I'm strongly thinking about maybe upgrading my 60D to the 70, but I'm a bit scared now because the 70's been out a while.
I would wait because
it should be something new.
Well, there's either going to be a 70D Mark II, or you get yourself the C100, and then you've gone full bore, and there's no going back at that point.
Well, that's right. If I get the C100, I'll just keep me 60D, and it's just the still camera, which is still perfect for that.
Yeah.
But as I said, just justifying it all, I'm going to start going out with the Panasonic and switch it onto 1080p and see the quality and sort of get me used to that. Because I'm sure that's going to do an excellent quality on that too.
But it's going to be different because on the 1080p from the Panasonic, again, I'm not sure if it's capturing. At that point, it is not capturing 4K, or it may be, because there are two methods on the Panasonic. You can capture and immediately downgrade in camera, or capture direct 1080. At that point, you're not doing 4K.
Well, the thing is with the Panasonic, it captures it takes more energy to produce a 1080p than a 4K because it does 4K natively, I believe.
Right.
But the battery lasts longer if you're just recording 4K than 1080p. So it's down. It is doing it. It's downgrading it to the 1080p.
It has to work harder for it. Interesting. So
but
now
coming back to
go ahead.
Well, you said with that video of the Canon that we had, and you said, "Oh God, look at that little tripod, and it makes it lovely." Well, when I looked at that, and I said, "Gee, that is a gorgeous little tripod, isn't it?" So of course that's what was my next thing. I went out and had a look on it, and it's called an Enduro LFB 75 High Hat.
Yeah, Enduro. Enduro's the brand, right?
Enduro's the brand, and of course I had to have a look at our friends at B&H, and it's something about $229. I think it is.
That's not too bad.
Not for that thing, but they've got it on they had on a special for $169.
Okay. Now, how high up do those go? I mean, is it more for macro or smaller photography, putting them on tables?
It's about 2 inches higher than they had it in that the Canon video that you just showed.
Okay, so it's not really it's not meant for a big shot. It's meant for smaller shots, desktop type things.
That's right, but what I like as well with it, if you're doing it, it's got holes in the feet as well, so you can screw it to a wooden pallet if you want anywhere. So it's so solid. Plus, it has the half ball mount, so it's got so you can level it quite easily without just on the legs. So, and you saw there it had the big fluid head on there, but yes. I just thought, a lot of the times we do a lot of filming with you have it on a desktop, or you just want to have it on a brick top fence or something like that. And tripods just get in the way sometimes, but you don't want to hold it, and you don't want to just leave your expensive camera sat on a concrete concrete thing on the ground.
Do you have a Gorilla
You
Pod?
want to have it. And these things, they take up something crazy like 220 pounds.
Wow.
You can sit on it yourself, and it won't do, because it's made to hold not just our type cameras, but the big professional rigs, and don't overbalance and tip over. That's what I like.
That's pretty good. Now, even
then, if I didn't need it, it's just a sexy product.
Now,
I just liked it.
Have you ever worked with the Gorilla Pod, where you can attach it to just about anything?
I do have the Gorilla Pod, but I also have with the Gorilla Pod where you can put the wheels on the bottom of it.
Yes.
And you can use it as a small dolly. And you can swing it round into a full 360 circle if you aim it out there. But the Gorilla Pod's fantastic. I have that. Sometimes you put that on there and stick it in a tree and wrap it round to somewhere where you haven't got a flat surface. It's just ideal for doing those sort of things. So, well, as I said, that other one, that High Hat, it's 74 kilos. It's
well, we have a little video. We have a video of the High Hat. Let's show it.
Hello and welcome to another Next Wave DV gear review. I'm your host Tony Reale, and today we're going to be looking at the Enduro High Hat. Now, if you've never seen a High Hat before, you may be wondering, what is it exactly? It looks like a miniature tripod, and you'd be correct. High Hats are great solutions for being able to fit your camera into positions that a traditional tripod just won't work. Now, what sets the Enduro apart from other High Hats on the market is the sheer volume of features that it has. Unlike some High Hats that are pretty much just solid blocks of metal, the Enduro is highly adjustable. You can position the legs for low mode, super low mode, or traditional mode, and one step in between. So you have lots of adjustability there. Also, the legs can be extended to add a little bit of extra height or stability when needed. There are two bowl options, 75mm and 100mm, depending on what tripod head you have. And you actually have several mounting options around that head, so if you have an articulating arm or other accessory, you can mount it directly to the High Hat. Each High Hat option comes with its own half bowl mount, which you can either mount to an existing flathead tripod or any other accessory that you might want to have that bowl mount and add some stability to it. Of course, if you already have an existing tripod head, you can quickly put that directly on there as you would with any traditional tripod setup. The feet of the Enduro are also highly adjustable. They pivot into whatever position the ground level may be at, and they also have a hole so they can be hard mounted to a wood or other surface. This is great if you want to mount the High Hat to, say, the bed of the truck, apple boxes, or even underslung. The options are endless when you can hard mount it directly to whatever surface you may have. We've been using the Enduro High Hat for several months now, and we absolutely love it. It is highly indispensable. Once you get used to having a High Hat around set, it's hard to go back. If you're going directly from your tripod to a low mode, it's a lot easier to go directly to a High Hat than it is to try and fidget with your tripod to get it into low mode. Plus, it takes up a lot less space. Another thing you can do is you can use just a traditional tabletop as a tripod. So if you're in a scenario where you can just bring your camera and you don't have room for a full tripod, as long as you have some sort of a table around, you can then put it on there, and now you've got your traditional tripod for doing pans and tilts and whatever else. One thing I also love is having the Enduro on my camera cart. I can prep my camera directly on there, and then when I'm ready to go to my tripod, to my jib, to my dolly, whatever it may be, I can quickly go off of there, and I don't have to worry about taking up extra space around the set with having to have a full tripod setup. And because the Enduro is actually relatively inexpensive, you can easily get extras of these and hard mount them to various surfaces, like your cart, like apple boxes, in scenarios where you want to be able to have a nice solid surface and you don't want to necessarily be going back and forth with a separate tripod. So we definitely give the Enduro a big thumbs up. If you're in the market for a High Hat or don't even know that you really need one, definitely check out the Enduro. The solution is great, the price is definitely affordable to easily pick up one or more of them. You can find the direct link below in the info section of this video, or go to nextwavedv.com to see our full written review of the Enduro High Hat.
You know, it's amazing. It actually looks very small. When he was holding it, it looks like a little toy. And yet, when you extend it, it looks very solid.
But one of the things I can see the advantage, I do that a lot with when you're playing around with your camera, just sorting it out. You have it sat on a bench top,
right,
and then you knock it, but then you can sit that on there and actually learn it a bit better. And like that's what they do, setting up your camera, and that even if you're not using it for taking the shots and that. But the thing I like, it's stable. There's been a number of times I've used a little tripod, but I thought, gee, don't breathe too heavy or too hard, or else it's going to go flying.
right.
Or else it's been awkward to set up. But also with that, when I saw that, I don't know, I really did my research on that video you did. He also had on there was a Benro S8 fluid head on the top of that. That's the one he had on the C100, which was about $239 for just
So by the time you're done, you're looking at almost $500 between the fluid head and that tripod, right? Which is as expensive as some Manfrottos.
Well, that's yes, but I just like the quality and how I justify purchase. What I do, I buy in little things. So I've already bought their High Hat, so that's written off now. So
you did buy it?
I'm back to zero.
You did buy it?
I'm waiting. Yep, I'm waiting. That's come from B&H because I couldn't find one here. But even with the shipping, it was still cheaper than their full price. So I bought that, and it's on its way here. And now I'm just tossing up about a tripod because when I looked at that Benro, I quite liked their tripods because I've got a few normal tripods. I'm really looking at a proper video tripod, you know, with a bit sturdier sides rather than just a single pole on the things. And the Benro seem to have one called a BV6, which is still an aluminium one for about $580.
Okay.
But that's got also the fluid head with that as well. So
now we bought recently a couple of tripods. They're really good quality video tripods. Is E-Image? It's from E-Image, and they're about I think we paid about $250 for these each. For the price, they were great. I like them better than our Manfrottos in a lot of ways. They're pretty solid. They're not as heavy, but they're still not that light. It's probably a good 15, 20 pounds for those things. But they're very nice. And I haven't checked out the Benro, but again, now you're looking at the 500 to 1,000. Which isn't bad, especially if you get a really nice fluid head. It's not bad. How I justifying the price on this? I was thinking 580 is a lot to pay for it, but then on this site where I looked at, there was another tripod that was $10,000, and I thought that still looks like a tripod. That makes this look like chicken feed. Yeah, but that one had a 4-wheel drive on it. It had 250 horsepower. It was pretty good.
It still looked like a tripod to me, and I thought, well, maybe if I'm supporting $100,000 camera on it, yes, I need to spend $10,000. But
you sure that wasn't a government issued tripod? It's always more expensive with the government, but
could be on that. But I'm thinking it's still 580. I don't think that's too bad with a fluid head that would probably cost you about 200 on that. But don't you find though in a lot of the camera stores they're lacking? They all have the cheapy, chintzy sort of tripod.
Right.
Nobody seems to keep in any decent ones.
No,
maybe
you have
one
to go
in
to
each shop that don't seem to have.
I don't know what kind of shops. And I'm not sure what kind of shops you have out where you are, but here we've got the Sammy's. Calumet's gone, so we don't have that anymore. Sammy's is our local one where we are in California or Southern California, and they do tend to carry the high-end Manfrottos and some other ones. You can probably get a several $1,000 one, maybe even higher, but you're right. You go to the typical shops, and if you go to the Best Buys and the Fry's and the other, then you just get kind of the cheapies. They're $100, maybe $200 is pushing it, because it's really more for the complete amateur versus somebody who does it for a living. So, and then you have to, if you buy through Amazon, see, I'm always at a kind of turning point. Do I go to Amazon and just pick it up and that's okay? Or do I go to B&H and use my B&H credit? I can do returns, but it's a little more complicated. With Amazon, it's like this. Or do I go to Sammy's where I know the people there, they're always helpful. So I kind of split my purchases up between all three sometimes. But when I usually go, if I have questions, I usually go to Sammy's. They answer it. I give them the business. I won't go there, ask questions, and then buy it at B&H. I think that's tacky.
No, that's not right.
And when I go to B&H, it's usually because I've either got credit with them at the moment, or they just have a good price on something in particular, and I don't want to pay sales tax. Though when I go to Sammy's, they don't charge me sales tax either, or very little, because we're considered a broadcast company. So by being part of Southern California and broadcasting, we get the break on taxes, which is nice. So they make it, the prices are about the same.
But I must admit, my one go-to place whenever I'm in Los Angeles is Sammy's,
Yes.
and that's where I've looked at. I got my Last Manfrotto head through them, was because I just saw it there and just had to have it.
Yep.
But that's the sort of thing. Maybe he trusts you enough that he can get a C100 Mark II that he'll loan you for a weekend, Rick.
Well, I don't know about loan, but I could rent it there.
Rent, yeah.
I don't know. They're probably
as I said,
$500 or $400 to rent it.
That's why I'm
Renting
saying
isn't that
loan.
expensive, but the only problem is I'd hate rent. You know why I don't like renting? It's aside from a certain amount of laziness. I don't want to drive there for an hour and a half, rent it, have it for 2 days, and have to drive back
Then have
again.
to drive back.
So in essence, I've lost 6 hours in driving back and forth. That's almost worth the price of a camera.
And also, as well, I think we had that
myself
conversation in the week, is there's a lot of things we don't have to have. We could probably rent it, use it
That's
for the
true.
job, and send it back.
That's true.
But I like to own things. I don't like to just use them.
I know, especially
It-
audio
it's
equipment and
different.
stuff. And you know what? Even though they're really good at renting, every so often you may rent something and it's not working right.
Well, that's right.
Because
yes.
people are really jerky the way they treat equipment. And, not everybody treats equipment like we do, where you just take very good care of it. It's, a lot of people just kind of rip it up. They don't care. And especially if it's not their equipment, they think, oh, I don't care. Which is, I treat other people's equipment better than my own. And I treat my equipment well.
I must admit, I'm exactly the same. I'll probably, if it's somebody else's, I'll really, really treat it better than do mine. I'll look after mine, but I thought, well, if I drop it, that's my problem.
Right.
Nobody else's.
Yeah.
Well, unless I want to drop it in a strategic place. Oh, Dan, I need to get a new C100.
Yeah, I usually tell Leslie something like, here, can you hold? No, don't hold it. If you drop it, I'm going to be really ticked off. But if I drop it, okay. I'm not happy with me, but what the heck? I'm not going to get angry at me like I do with her. So therefore, I'll just hold it. It's just easier. Yeah, and of course, when the mistakes do happen, it's easier to just blame yourself.
So with all that, so in that one, I'm looking at the whole thing. So in my mind, I've got the camera. Well, I've got the little tripod to start off with,
Yes.
and I'm still looking for the head. But I think I'm going to go for that Benro BV6 with the whole tripod and head. And what I'll do like with those, because they've got, as I said, the flat base, but the half ball mount, so you can level it a bit better on the tripod as well without having a total ball mount on there. So I'll get that. And then the last thing to complement the camera, the tripod, and the head would be the Sennheiser AVX.
That sounds
cordless.
really nice. I have the previous generation of the Sennheisers, which also sound great. But, these are about $1,000, I noticed, just for two. And I paid $1,500 for two sets on the other ones.
Yes,
so this is going to be more like $2,000 for two sets? If you needed to.
Because because it's only one set for the $1,000.
Now, they sounded great in some of them. Next week we'll put on some of the commercials they have. They're great. They're absolutely great. The Oracle one is one of my favorites. I haven't really watched all the others, but the Oracle one is one of my favorites.
But did you see there's a few iterations of the Oracle one? There's the main one, and then there's about 5 or 6 little ones that take off some of the characters that are in the Oracle.
Oh, no, I haven't seen those. Okay.
I'll have if you look at watch the Oracle, and when it finishes, you'll see all the other ones that look similar.
Okay.
And it's just got one of the old men coming up to the camera and you go, yeah, yelling at the microphone and then running away. It's just because there's something quite strange on there, because they've got this thing.
Hey,
that
was that
not,
done in Australia?
Sorry?
Was that done in Australia?
I think so, because they
Because
sounded
the accent
Australian
sounded
to me.
Australian.
Yeah, the main character did to me. It didn't sound American, it didn't sound European.
No, and
it sounded
Brits don't say IVX, whereas this guy said IVX, and that's more Australian. The A is an I almost.
Yeah, so I thought that as well, because I thought the cameraman was definitely an Australian, his accent, but but I thought even the other one, but I just thought that was just such a clever one, saying about how important it is to get the right.
Now,
recording.
have you ever seen Philip Bloom's little documentary on his dad?
No, I haven't.
It's really
no.
quite wonderful. He did an amazing job. It's touching. It's just really touching. I thought his dad was interesting, and what an interesting interview. His dad just talking about his life and his grandparents and everything. It was really well done. And he filmed it probably with the C100, I think.
But Philip Bloom is ever. I'll watch a lot of his things. I'm amazed I haven't seen that one. It must have been something that just slipped
maybe
by
about a
me.
month or so ago it came out, and it was great. And I was a little afraid that I won't give it away, but let's just say it's good.
Well, I'll go back and have a look at that because he does some good work, and I do like his reviews. He goes in depth and that, and does a lot of film and films some natural things. Goes down to beaches, not just in studio things and that.
Yeah,
so
I love his
does
stuff.
a good job.
He did one on the C100 out in or C300, I think. He's out on a beach somewhere, and he goes, "This is a great place to take pictures of people in bikinis and stuff from a distance."
That was the C100 in Brighton Beach.
Was it the C100? Okay.
Yeah, that was the C100 because I remember that because he's on Brighton Beach.
Oh, he's got all these great lines, because it has that little nipple menu device. And he goes, "Now, we all love a good nipple, and this is a great one." That's in his review.
Yes, I liked rolling my finger over the nicely placed nipple.
Yes, I thought it was actually pretty funny. But anyway, well, Geoff, another good show. And next week we can continue this and some other stuff because... I think we're not going to end until somebody gets a C100. We got, it's going to happen one day.
Well, I'm tossing up to whether to put my order in for my AVX because I don't have a real good cordless mic, so I might put that in. So.
Yeah, and plus it comes with a microphone, I think.
Yes, it does with the lavalier.
It comes with the interview mic, which I think I have that interview mic, and then it has the regular AVX, and it sounds great. I want to do some more work with the Video Pro. Maybe we'll do some videos next week and we'll put them on of some testing with the Video Mic Pro X from Rode. That's amazing. That one is really amazing.
That one, and it's only $400. Well, not even $400. It was
$800. No, it's $800. It's expensive.
Which one's that?
That's the Rode Video Mic Pro X.
Oh, okay. So that one, not
they hit you on that one. I wasn't even going to go get it. I didn't even know about it. Larry brings it out and goes, "You want this one?" Yeah. It's $800.
Oh, okay.
All right. And Leslie goes, "It looks good. Let's get it." I'm like,
yeah.
She's the one who tells me I spend too much. You get her in a store, it's like, get it, come on, get it.
But like as well, though, good sound, like no matter what the video quality, if some, like, I don't know, there's Ben Long who does the...
he's good too,
Lynda.com. He has like his cordless lavalier, but no matter where he just sounds great.
Yep.
Oh, here I am. But it doesn't matter what he said, but the sound quality is excellent. So it doesn't matter what the shot is.
And he's got a nice deep voice, so it sounds good.
And if it's outside in the open, and I thought, that's a good advert for a good lavalier mic. Because I said, you just listen to what he's saying. You don't care about the video shot so much. But they do good video
no
as well.
air actually ever touches Ben Long. It's not in his contract.
Oh, but you said nobody ever touches it.
No, that too. But no air will ever touch him. He's immune to it all. Yeah. Now his little brother Ben Short, that's different. Whole other issue. But anyway, Geoff, as always, a good time. And if you are watching the show, please subscribe and give us feedback. Give us a thumbs up, a thumbs down, whatever you feel like. But give us some feedback. Let us know what you think. Ask if you want us to do any specific reviews, or if you have comments on reviews we've done. We'd love to hear from you. So, Geoff, we will see you next week.
Yeah, certainly will.
Tech Down Over. Have a good one, everyone.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.